Live from the Sky News Weather Centre, this is the 10-minute briefing.
10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. You're joining us live now for the 10-minute briefing. A lot to get through in terms of Australian weather and, of course, across our shores. There's a lot happening. I'm Samantha Chiari, joined by our meteorologist, Rob Sharp.
Today we're focused right in on the smoke haze that's engulfing Sydney. It's also quite a wild day across southeastern Australia with a few fronts moving through, whilst in the west we have a fairly calm day.
Yeah, let's start with the smoke haze. So thick smoke is blanketing Sydney as we go live to air this morning, Rob. As you can see, Sydney side is waking up to this. I must admit, it's actually gotten worse as the morning's gone on. The earlier hours, it wasn't too bad, but maybe it's because the sun was still down.
Well, I think it was a fair bit worse in western Sydney because we've got that drainage flow with the westerly winds dragging that smoke from the west into the east. That's why it's become a fair bit worse in eastern parts of Sydney. So the smoke wasn't too bad initially in the city, but as you can see, these recent photos are indicating a fair bit of smoke moving through the city. So hazardous air quality across a large portion of Sydney, and these are the ratings from earlier this morning. You can see the northwest of Sydney and also the parts of the southwest seeing hazardous air quality, and those ratings there, anything above 200 is hazardous, and so these are very bad ratings, particularly across the west of Sydney this morning.
Not ideal at all. It's been a common thing over the last couple of days. Wasn't too bad yesterday though, but across the weekend we did have thick smoke hitting Sydney.
Yeah, quite a bit of smoke around, and it's likely to stick around for today. So we'll see it improving into the middle of the day and the afternoon, but then tonight we'll probably still see a fair bit of smoke again returning across Sydney, particularly in the west. But then on Wednesday morning, so tomorrow morning, we'll see a southerly change move through, and that's going to clear out all of that air and bring in some cleaner air from the south.
Nice. Okay, so we do have severe weather also continuing across the southeast. A lot to get through today. Showers and thunderstorms have been hitting parts of South Australia and Victoria, Rob.
Yeah, we had wild thunderstorms yesterday around Mount Gambier, 7 millimetres in just 10 minutes, so very rapid rainfall rates there. A few millimetres for Horsham as well, with quite a bit of lightning in the region. Here's the radar imagery. You can see huge amounts of lightning overnight into the early hours of this morning. Since around 4 a.m, there hasn't been all that much lightning through Victoria, and we've seen the rain dissipating, but there's still quite a few storms in New South Wales at the moment. But let's have a look at those rain totals. So Ballarat 8 millimetres, Bendigo 13, Melbourne only gained 1 millimetre out of this, but 17 for Mount Gambier and 5 in Clare and 2 for Renmark. So also noteworthy, Broken Hill 3.6 millimetres after its driest start to the year on record.
Yeah, so we've seen some light precipitation, you would say, across drought-affected regions, but nothing too much.
Yeah, so it's been helpful, but yeah, not heaps, unfortunately. So we're looking at a fair bit more rain to move through today with a few thunderstorms, particularly for northern parts of New South Wales and through central parts, but unfortunately, some of those drought-affected areas are just seeing a little bit of rain, but it doesn't look like there's much in the way of follow-up.
Now, Queensland, we've had a bit of a coastal deluge overnight. The Sunshine Coast Airport has collected over 45 millimetres in the gauge.
Yeah, it's been very wet, particularly through that Queensland area with heavy falls for the Sunshine Coast. Coolum also saw over 50 millimetres from this event. You can see here the dark clouds over Noosa. But here's the radar. Very heavy falls, particularly for the Sunshine Coast there. Not too much around central Queensland, just a couple of showers around Proserpine, and a few showers for the Cassowary Coast up around Cairns and Cooktown. And let's have a look at those rain totals. So 5 for Cairns, 23 for Innisfail. But as I say, the Central Coast has remained generally dry over the past 24 hours. It's really been around that Sunshine Coast area. 45 recorded at the airport, 4 for Brisbane. Redcliffe nearby collected 14 millimetres by 9 a.m.
Yeah, a bit of a coastal splash there. A lot to get through in terms of Australian weather. We'll be keeping you posted here throughout the morning on how the severe weather warning is looking in South Australia and, of course, that Sydney smoke haze. Stick with us, though. In just 1 minute, we have phenomenal flash flooding images coming into us from Baltimore. We'll give you an update on that. Storm Alberto and also severe thunderstorms have been hitting the United Kingdom. A lot to get through in terms of international weather. Stick with us.